Guys, what's happening? So, I recently watched on Hulu the first two, and I'm only reviewing the first two episodes. There are 7 more. The rest could totally suck. This is just a review for the first 2 episodes that I saw of the new Roseanne. Now, a disclaimer for this video, I'm going to get a little political. I generally try to avoid that, but if I'm doing a review for something that is politically relevant, then I will get political a little bit. So bear with me here. I recently did a video called The Death of the Sitcom, where like this sort of corny, like filmed before a live studio audience aspect of television is sort of, seems to have died out. There is also, I guess, kind of like a nostalgia wave for it, but with Roseanne, I think that it is particularly relevant, and I think that she was just the person to do this, to bring it back, and really for the same reasons. I mean, like, a different time and situationally different, but for the same reasons. For example, when the original Roseanne came out, and I believe it was 1988, it was the first sitcom to ever portray the nuclear family as frankly realistic, having problems, having drama, having to cope with depression or like real life issues, and dealing with a lot of, in certain cases kind of dark stuff, but adding like a little bit, of a humorous spin on it, which is why the show was praised. Similarly, again, it's sort of the same thing. It takes you back to the whole like modern day, what is remaining of the nuclear family. Now it's kind of like an older, sort of concept. And a lot of the ideas that surround the typical family dynamic, from our past, it's like are a lot more liberal. And it's fascinating because Roseanne and her husband, Dan, they both have like a lot more like sort of conservative beliefs. And the thing that I find praiseworthy about this show is that it doesn't look at them in a negative light. A lot of people are like, oh, this is a pro-Trump show or whatever, who haven't seen it or they've heard that, or, that's the speculation because, Roseanne is a Trump supporter. They don't really go into it with Dan. He's a little bit like less vocal about it, but the indication is there. They're like from a different generation, and there's a lot of like, progressive ideas that come to them that maybe they're not totally 110% behind. Like for example, they have a grandchild who is in elementary school and likes, dressing in girls' clothing. And John Goodman, his character Dan, is concerned about this, and it's not like an evil or vindictive sort of like, oh, I don't want my grandson to be a little homo or something like that. It's not like that. It's like he's gonna get his ass kicked in school if he goes in dressed like that. Like he had a genuine concern. He wasn't even like, don't dress him up like that, or, a boy shouldn't be dressing like that. That wasn't his take on it. It was like, this kid's going to get his ass kicked in school. So it was a very compassionate, albeit conservative viewpoint. And I think that is something that exists in our society. And again, similar to the original Roseanne, the nuclear family, Leave It to Beaver. It was always like Mr. and Mrs. Cleaver, and like even like shows that tried to be a little bit more progressive, like the Brady Bunch and stuff like that. There was always like a father-mother dynamic, and everything was always happy, and all the problems were like insignificant, and they always came to the perfect solution. And Roseanne was sort of like, well, that's cool and stuff. It's a nice excursion, but here's real life. And that's sort of what the new Roseanne has done. It really is doing the same thing that it's always done. And it said like, okay, well, a lot of things are portrayed as being, this is the way things are because that's the perception of the way things should be, but that's not the way things are. There is another part. There is another perception out there, a more conservative, sort of ideology. And again, I think that this show is actually pretty good at being neutral. It really doesn't seem to side with either side, because Laurie Metcalf, playing Roseanne's sister, was a Hillary supporter. And the banter between them, the Trump supporting Roseanne and the Hillary supporting, Laurie Metcalf, they're they're arguing with one another and they're taking little jabs at one another, and it's realistic. Most people out there, even the most extreme, like, if you voted for Trump, just remove me from your friends list, sort of a thing. A lot of those people have at least a handful of family members that voted for Trump. It's a difference of opinion, okay? Different people come from different places. And in this day and age, it seems that we've lost the ability to just be able to communicate with one another, to have a nice, calm discussion, or, God forbid, just shut the fuck up. If we can't come to an agreement with somebody that we love about something, then maybe we just shouldn't fucking talk about it. But we do. And it's very difficult to escape that sort of political climate in this day and age, And in media, in awards ceremonies, in television shows, there is like a very, very, very skewed sort of like liberalism that is shoved down everybody's throats. People have to talk about politics now. And it's not even that they have to talk about it, but like, if you agree with this one side on anything, you are wrong and you are terrible and you are, and this show kind of takes that and turns it on its head. Again, going back to it, the original Roseanne, this is real life. Just because the media portrays everything as being like, this is, what the United States is doing now, and you need to get on the train, and if you don't, then you're ass backwards. This portrays like a real family with like a real differentiation in political beliefs, and it doesn't demonize one or the other. It's just an unbiased, frankly quite accurate portrayal of what a lot of modern families are like. And I think that that's beautiful. And the fact that they make sort of a joke about it, that they poke fun at it, that is a beautiful thing. And I really hope from the bottom of my heart that it inspires a whole new like wave of TV. If the ratings have anything to say about it, it probably fucking will. I mean, as far as like, that's all the politics out of the way. I mean, as far as like everything else is concerned, it's Roseanne. I didn't like, there was never a point where I was like holding my gut and it was hurting because I was laughing so hard. It's not like the most amazing show that ever lived, but I do think that given the modern political climate, I do think that it's actually quite important. I would recommend checking it out, giving it a chance. Yeah, that's about as political as my show gets. And yeah, check out the new Roseanne. I think that most people will like it, or at least find it moderately amusing. And if you don't, then, hey, YOLO, you tried.